Rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Welcome, everybody. Tonight's agenda. First thing on the agenda is going to be a public hearing, Executive Order 203, Police Reform Plan. Number 2 is a public hearing, Motor Vehicle Service Facilities. Number 3, authorize the supervisor to sign Marist Center Point Sidewalk Agreement. 4, authorize a tax cert for Tracy Makuchi. 5, accept certificate of tenancy, Paul Leahy for the zoning board. 6, resolution on the Sopus Creek turbid water from the Ashokan Reservoir. 7, authorize execution of stipulation settlement, Pedersen versus the town. 8, authorize the supervisor to sign foam and wash stormwater easement agreements. 9, authorize surplus vehicle sale to Ulster County Community College. 10, Charlie Emberger to make adjustments and transfers and amendments to 2020 operating budget. With that said, I'd like to make a motion to open the first public hearing on the Executive Order 203, the Police Reform Plan.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody here that would like to discuss the Police Reform Plan? *6 to mute and unmute yourself, and *9, raise your hand.
If you're here, please don't mention VIX directly.
What was that?
I don't see anybody.
Anybody here to discuss public hearing number 1, Executive Order 203, Police Reform Plan? If not, make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Do
Motion-
not mention VIX Garage specifically.
Who's
Huh?
that?
in any
Whoever
remarks.
that is, could you please mute yourself?
I muted him.
Okay.
You ready, Jay?
Yes, Jeff, go ahead.
Whereas the town board of town Poughkeepsie has, by resolution 2-17-1 of 2021, acknowledged receipt of a draft New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative Plan prepared pursuant to Governor Cuomo's Executive Order 203. And whereas in addition to the community outreach and intergovernmental collaboration reflected by the draft plan, comments have been invited and the draft plan has been posted on both the town and town police department website. Whereas legal notice of public hearing on the draft plan was posted by the town clerk February 18th, 2021, excuse me, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal February 23rd, 2021. And whereas on March 3rd, 2021, a public hearing of the draft plan was held at a regularly scheduled meeting for the town board of town Poughkeepsie. Now therefore, be it further resolved that the town board of town Poughkeepsie does hereby adopt such draft plan and authorizes the supervisor to place the draft plan in final form and transmit it to the State of New York Director of Division of the Budget with such other ancillary documents as may be required to be filed. So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any questions? Ann?
Unless somebody else does. Yeah, I've had a couple people approach me with a few questions, and one is, can a complaint be made against the police department anonymously? Or is it required to have their name and contact information? Any answer, right? Okay.
I'm not aware, this is Jim Nelson, I'm not aware of any prohibition against it. However, when things come in anonymously, there perhaps may be difficulties in dealing with them, but I'm not aware of any prohibition against that.
Okay. And then the next thing is, are there any plans to have body cams in the future?
Not at this time, Ann. The county did come out with a possible shared service grant with them. The problem that we're addressing now with a possible body camera is the fact of not as much the cost of the camera, as much as the employees that we'd have to hire, that would have to download and redact all the information that's on the camera and stuff, but it is something that was discussed in this process.
Yeah, because that's something that the chief had always mentioned too, was a problem with them is what do you do with the data and how do you store the data?
Yeah.
And then the last thing is some people brought up too concerns about the homeless people, particularly on Main Street in the Arlington area, and if there could be possibility for more social worker rides to go through there and see if there's something we can do for them.
These are definitely
And
things.
that's all I have.
Yeah, and these are definitely things that were discussed in that process, that we can
Good.
work with them. They work very good with the social workers now and with the county's response team that they have that comes out of North Road. We can call them on notice to come out and address those issues also. But back to your body cams, and we also have at this time car cams, which we do, and they have worked in our favor quite a few times when people have
Good.
questioned things.
And they also have that speaker on also when they're outside.
Mhm.
Correct.
On the mic, I mean, I'm sorry.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I just want to thank the police department, the county, and all the involved agencies on this close to 6-month process of working through this and getting this all done. It was very entailed. It took a lot of time. There was a lot of different stakeholder groups that were involved in this, and a lot of meetings with all the towns that had police departments, the sheriff's department, the state police, Metro North. Any department that worked with us, we took all their input into this, going through and compiled this into work. And the county was the lead that helped coach us through a lot of this. I want to thank all the county staff. I see that Ken Roman is here. Everybody at the county that helped us through this process and worked with us in the diligence of our police department in doing this and going through an accreditation at the same time. That brings us to public hearing number 2, motor vehicle service facilities. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 2? Star 6 to mute and unmute yourself, or star 9 to raise your hand.
I'm looking, I don't see any raised hands at this moment.
Is there anybody out there that would like to discuss motor vehicle service facilities? This is the time to speak.
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Linda Mack, go ahead.
Yes, I just like to say I live at 206 Over Rocker Road, and that I ask that the moratorium be extended until the adequate zoning codes are put in place to stop gas stations from being built within 500 feet of residential properties.
So you're speaking in favor of this?
Oh, the moratorium, yes, yes, because we need to be protected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Linda.
very much.
Anybody else? Anybody else to speak on the,
Yeah, Jim Graves.
go ahead,
Jim?
Yeah, I raised my hand. I guess you can't see it. Yeah, I just want to thank the town board for taking up the issue on gas stations being built close to residential properties. And I want to support that the moratorium continue until we have some hopeful legislation to stop them from being built so close to houses. Thanks.
Thank you.
You have a couple raised hands.
I have a couple of raised hands. Linda, right?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Linda Wright. I live at 217 Over Ocker Road. And I'd like to thank you for having the gas moratorium. And I wish that you continue it on the agenda. And I don't want a gas station next door to my house unless it meets certain laws in the books. Thank you.
Thank you. I have an Alba, Alhob. You're next.
Hi, yes, this is Amy Hobson Aguirre at 208 Over Rocker Road. And I also want to say that I support the moratorium. And just please consider the town residents of Poughkeepsie and their well-being, especially the children and the environment, and the fact that we don't need any more gas stations. There's so many nearby. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
At the moment, I don't see anyone else. Going once?
Nobody else?
That's it.
Motion to resume the rules?
Second.
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 Make a motion to close this public hearing?
Second.
Second.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Bill Carlos.
Be it enacted that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 3rd day of March 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt as local law an extension to a temporary town-wide moratorium on development of motor vehicle service facilities, including a gasoline filling station or sell gasoline in the town of Poughkeepsie, which local law is attached hereto and incorporated herein. And the town board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said local law and does direct that said local law be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim. Whereas the town board has previously declared this local law to be a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementation regulation 6 NYCRR Part 617, period 5, sub C 36, SECA, requiring no environmental review, and whereas by moratorium of February 19th, the town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board has advised that it takes no position regarding the adoption of this proposed moratorium, and whereas a written recommendation dated February 25th was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development, stating the proposed local law was a matter of local concern. Whereas the town clerk has notified the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to General Municipal Law 239 sub NN. And whereas the legal notice of this public hearing was posted on February 18th, 2021, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on February 27th, 2021, now therefore be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to the end of our public hearings. Brings us to our regular agenda. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for comment on any item that's on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody that would like to make a comment on any item that is on the agenda? Star 6 to mute yourself or raise your hand.
I don't see hands raised. Is there anybody that would like to speak? That would be a no.
No? Make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jessica?
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign the sidewalk maintenance agreement and slight distance clearing easement and maintenance agreement and any recording documents in regard to the Marist Center Point project in substantially the form attached, and be it further resolved that such acceptance and authorization by the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is subject to approval of all final documents by the town attorney, planning board attorney, town engineer, and the director of municipal development for the town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mike?
Be resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the settlement of tax certiorari proceedings initiated by Tracy McGucci for property located at 383 Salt Point Turnpike, grid number 626303125223 for the 2020 tax assessment roll as shown on the attached consent judgment. And be it further resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee, town assessor Jennifer Munn and Kyle Barnett of Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP to sign such papers as necessary to effectuate said settlement. So moved.
Second.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Stefan?
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance from Paul Leahy for a 2-hour educational for participation in the New York State Department of State winter webinar entitled Zoning Board of Appeals Overview, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Paul, thanks for keeping up on your training.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie relies on the Hudson River to supply safe and potable drinking water for the thousands of residents, and whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has previously joined the Hudson 7, a coalition of regional municipalities whose purpose is to ensure the continued availability of safe and potable drinking water, and whereas Riverkeeper has advised the town and other municipalities regarding its serious concern about New York City's discharge of turbulent water from the Ashokan Reserve into Lower Esopus Creek, which in turn flows into the Hudson River, and it has provided the town with a sample resolution by which the town could express to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation the critical importance of DEC carefully reviewing New York City's request for a SPDES permit to allow discharge of turbulent water, and to request the DEC exercise its authority and responsibility to ensure that all potential adverse environmental impacts from proposed discharges will be avoided or minimized to the greatest extent practical, including through the consideration and implementation of alternate processes. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie adopts the resolution annexed hereto at Exhibit A and authorizes the supervisor to transmit it in a substantially the form annexed to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second.
I have a question. Why do we have a resolution approving a resolution? Shouldn't we just have done the resolution? The recommended resolution?
Well,
The,
go ahead, Jim.
the concern I had, Stefan, was that the resolution as drafted
Yeah.
was, shall we say, lengthy. And so I tried to condense what it was directed at and then attached it. Otherwise, someone would have been reading it line by line, which.
Ann doesn't mind, right, Ann?
And doesn't matter. But it is
Burdensome.
5 pages long, and it is very well written, but it's really detailed about as to all the adverse effects. So yes,
It's a well-written resolution.
yes it is.
Mr. Supervisor, if I may for a minute, a comment.
Go ahead, Mr. Carlos.
We had a joint water board meeting Tuesday last. And at the joint water board meeting, our water plant is jointly owned between the city and the town. Randy Alstead, who's the plant manager for us, produced indications, reports, and graphs showing that the discharge from the Ashokan Reservoir down the Esopus into the Hudson River did in fact find its way into our intakes. Turbidity in the water, mud in the water, is something that we deal with every spring. Every spring, we have the spring rains, the winter's thaw, and the Hudson River turns brown, and there's a lot of movement in the river. That's something we're able to deal with. The plant was designed to do that. So it was not a problem to the plant to deal with the turbidity, and we removed it. It cost the town, and it cost the Joint Water Board an additional almost $5,000 to take that sludge and then transport it to a place where it can be disposed of. So New York City Department of Environmental Protection action with no warning cost the Joint Water Board, the taxpayers in the town and city paid for that, $5,000. There's no indication or statement saying that there won't be more. And each time we deal with it, I'm assured that we don't have a threat, a health threat to our water. It's something the plant can deal with. But the additional cost should be addressed. And one of the things that we spoke about at the Joint Water Board meeting was the route, the action to take to make that known to the New York City DEP. So I fully support the resolution, and I want to make sure that all of the people in our town that drink our water understand that it's okay. It's 100% fine. We took the turbidity out, the mud. And the way it was explained to me by the people that know, when the release was made from the Ashokan, it was so sudden and such a large amount that as it came down the tributaries to the Esopus, it washed out the embankments. And that produced all that mud and dirt that was carried all the way out into the Hudson River and down to us. So we're still working on it. If anything changes, believe me, you'll all be told very quickly. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
You're welcome. And along the line of what Mr. Carlos was talking about, there is a mechanism that they can use that would not cause this problem, but it would cost them more money on the route that they would send their water, and their discharge would be into a different stream. So there was an avenue that they could have done to prevent this from hitting the 7 intakes from the 7 towns that pull from the Hudson River. So I think it's definitely a resolution that needs to be out there and something we need to support to let the city know that, you know, you're not tainting with our water. You have a way to get clean water to the city. Use the proper methods and don't take the easy way out. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Before you do the next resolution, can I make a request?
Sure.
Okay. This is a resolution regarding the resolution of the Pedersen lawsuit. And attached to the resolution is a proposed stipulation. On the third page of the stipulation, at the end of paragraph 3, there's a clause that says, reserving to the town defendants the right to cure by readoption or otherwise any other claimed deficiency in the adoption of local law number 1 of 2014. I had a problem, or I had a question about whether the town wanted to have that language in there. And I had a conversation this afternoon with the attorney for Mr. Pedersen, and he has acknowledged that it would be okay to delete that clause. So when you're reviewing this resolution, it would be with reference to adopting that stipulation or authorizing its execution, but deleting that clause at the end of paragraph 3.
Okay.
And I can explain it further to you if you want.
No, I'm happy with it. I don't know if anybody else needs anything explained? No?
So number 3, Jim, it's after the bullet point where it says 8,500 gross square feet end. So after that, we're deleting that sentence?
It would be
Yes.
close quotes, period. And that'll
Okay.
be the end of it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP as attorneys to the town to negotiate a stipulation of dismissal in the matter of Kenneth Pedersen Real Estate Holdings, Inc. and Kenneth Pedersen versus Town of Poughkeepsie et al., index number 2019-54164, and further authorizes the supervisor to execute a stipulation of dismissal to be so ordered by Justice Greenwald and substantially the form annexed together with other ancillary documents required to effect the settlement and dismissal. So moved. And
Second.
3, we'd like to delete reserving to the town defendants the right to cure by readoption or otherwise any other claim deficiency in the adoption of local law number 1 of 2014. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second? Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance agreement and a stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance easement and any supporting recorded documents with PKCW LLC regarding a project known as Foam and Wash Car Wash and substantially the form attached, and be it further resolved that such authorization by the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is subject to the approval of all final documents by town attorney, planning board attorney, town engineer, and the director of municipal development for the town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution 9. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie, having received a communication from the Auto Center manager, Brian Porter, does declare one 2016 Ford Explorer police vehicle to be surplus. Does hereby approve the sale of said vehicle to Ulster County Community College as follows. Number 1, a 2016 Ford Explorer VIN number 1, F as in Frank, M as in Mary, 5, K as in King, 8, A as in Adam, R as in Robert, 9, G as in George, G as in George, C as in Charles, 62088. Mileage, 151,391 to the price of $7,500. Be it further resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the sale of the vehicle for a sum total of $7,500, and be it further resolved that this is a type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and it requires no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has established the office of comptroller, which officer is vested with the powers and duties provided for in-town law, section 32 and elsewhere, and whereas the town comptroller is responsible for the orderly recording of all finances associated with the financial operations of the town, and whereas in order to close the financial records for the year ending in December 31st, 2020, certain budget adjustments, transfers, and amendments may be required. And whereas this board wishes to provide the town comptroller with the authorization to perform all necessary intra-fund budget adjustments, transfers, and amendments in order to produce a balanced budget for the year of 2020, now therefore be it resolved that the town comptroller is hereby authorized to make all necessary intra-fund adjustments, transfers, and amendments to the 2020 operated budget revenue and expenditure accounts required to produce a balanced budget by March 3rd, 2021, provided that the town comptroller shall deliver a report detailing all such adjustments, transfers, and amendments to the town supervisor attached. So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make the motion to suspend the rules for any comment at all.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anybody that'd like to make any comment at all? This is the time. Star 6 to unmute yourself. Star 9.
I don't
raise your
see
hand.
any raised hands, but give everybody another minute. Nothing that I can see.
Make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved, the town board of town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following matters. Discussions regarding proposed pending or current litigation, rental, towing, and others. 2, matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. 3, the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition of securities, or sale or exchange of securities held by the town when publicity would substantially affect the value thereof. 9, to discuss matters which are exempt of the open meetings law, matters subject to attorney-client privilege. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Town board goes into executive session at 7:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody. We'll see the board members in like 5 minutes. Thank you.